She waited until after I signed the mortgage to tell me. I'm not in love with you.
Haven't been in years, she said.
But you're stable. I was still holding the keys. I said nothing until she invited him over. That night, I changed the locks and left one envelope on the counter with a single photo. I'm a 43-year-old guy living in Allentown, Pennsylvania. This story happened just last year. It's not about heartbreak. It's about being lied to for years by the person you trusted the most. It's about what it feels like when someone uses you, slowly, over time, and how quiet betrayal can burn worse than a screaming fight. Her name was Rena. We were together for over 12 years. When we met, I was working warehouse nights, living with a buddy, driving a beat-up Dodge Ram. She was teaching second grade and lived with 2 roommates. We were both broke, but it felt like we were building something. Rena was loud, opinionated, always had a plan. I was steady,
Quiet.
I don't rush things. I try to be the guy people can rely on. And for a long time, I thought she appreciated that. She used to call me her rock. We lived in a couple rentals over the years. Nothing special. Just enough space. We didn't fight a lot. We didn't talk about kids much either. I brought it up maybe 3 or 4 times. She always said, not yet. Maybe next year. I accepted that. I figured she'd know when it felt right. In early 2023, everything changed. She started pushing the idea of buying a house. Hard. Said she was tired of throwing money at rent. Said we deserved something of our own. Every day she was sending me listings, texting me Zillow screenshots, wanting to talk mortgages. She made it sound like this was going to be our next big chapter together. I agreed. I had savings. I'd been promoted to supervisor at the shipping center, had health insurance, 401k, all that. I was proud of how far I'd come. So when she found a house she liked in Makunji, a 2-story colonial on a quiet street near decent schools, I said yes. We toured it. Big yard. Finished basement. 3 bedrooms. Needed a little work, but nothing crazy. She said she could see us there for the next 20 years. I believed her. We closed in late April. I paid 70% of the down payment. The mortgage was in my name. I wanted it that way because my credit was stronger, and I figured I'd protect her from risk. It felt like the right thing to do. That afternoon, right after we signed and got the keys, we were standing in the empty kitchen. She turned to me and said she needed to tell me something. I smiled, thinking she was about to say something sweet. But then she looked me dead in the eye and said, I'm not in love with you. I haven't been for a long time. I laughed at first, thought she was joking. But she didn't even flinch. She said, you're good. You're stable. I've always felt safe with you. But I don't feel what I'm supposed to feel anymore. I haven't for years. Then she said she didn't want to end it. She said we still made sense together. That love comes and goes, and that we were still a great team. I said nothing. I just stood there, holding the keys, staring at the counters. I don't know how to describe what that felt like. It wasn't like a punch to the gut. It was more like standing in a room when the walls slowly start closing in. Quiet.
Tight.
No air. I didn't yell. I didn't ask questions. I said, let's move in first. She looked relieved. Like maybe I was okay with it. But I wasn't. Not even close. We moved in. She picked out paint colors. Bought new rugs. Posted pictures on Facebook like we were some happy couple starting fresh. But inside, I'd already started checking out. I watched her. Not in a creepy way, just paid closer attention. She was always on her phone. She'd get texts that made her smile, but when I asked, she'd say it was just from coworkers. She started dressing up more for work, changing perfumes, laughing at things I wasn't part of. I felt like a roommate who paid the bills. One night, she left her phone on the couch while she took a shower. No passcode. I opened the messages. There he was.
Greg.
He was 47. Divorced. PE teacher at her school. They'd been texting for months. Long conversations. Inside jokes. She called him G. He called her R. One message stuck out. I wish I could just be with you and not feel guilty. And hers. I'll figure it out. Just give me time. They hadn't slept together yet, at least not according to the texts, but they were close. Too close. She never told him about the house. Told him I was just a friend she lived with. Said our relationship was complicated. I took screenshots. Every message. Every picture. I airdropped them to my laptop and saved everything in a folder named Truth. Still, I didn't confront her. I wanted to see how far she'd go. 2 weeks in, she told me Greg was coming over. Said he wanted to see the house. That they were close friends. Told me not to be weird about it. Said we could all have dinner, keep it casual. I said, sure. I'll be working late anyway. She made chicken marsala. I watched them through the window from my truck. They drank wine. She wore a tight black top she hadn't worn in years. He sat close. She laughed a little too loud. I waited until they were distracted. Then I walked up, changed the locks on the front and back door. Quick, quiet. Didn't take more than 10 minutes. On the counter inside, I left an envelope. Inside it was a printed photo from the school parking lot. Greg and Rena standing close. His hand was on her waist, her hand on his chest. They were leaning in. It was blurry but clear enough. On the back of the photo, I wrote, "Stable doesn't mean blind." Then I left. After I changed the locks and left the photo, I drove straight to a motel on Airport Road and stayed there for 2 nights. Didn't tell anyone where I was.
Turned off my phone.
I needed quiet. I needed to think without hearing her voice in my head. When I turned my phone back on Monday morning, I had 23 missed calls. 12 from Rena. 6 from Greg. The rest were from numbers I didn't recognize. Probably friends of hers. People who didn't know the full story but thought I'd lost it. I didn't answer any of them. Instead, I went to work like nothing happened. That night, I pulled into the driveway and saw Rena's car wasn't there. She was gone. She'd moved some of her stuff out. But not all. I walked through the house in silence. Her coffee mug was still on the counter. Her shoes still lined up in the front closet. That fake plant she loved was still on the dining table. There was a note on the fridge. "I can't believe you'd humiliate me like that. I thought we were adults. I deserve better than this." No apology. No ownership. Just blame. I took the note down, crumpled it, and tossed it in the trash. The next few weeks were hell. Rena tried to come back, but I wouldn't let her in. She begged, threatened, cried. She said we needed to talk. Said I had no right to lock her out. I reminded her the mortgage was in my name. That she walked out. That the utilities were all under me. She tried to change the story. Told friends I snapped. Told her family I was controlling and emotionally distant. Suddenly, I was the bad guy who drove her away. She even called the cops once. I was at work when she showed up with Greg and tried to get into the house. My neighbor texted me, said the cops were on the porch. I left work early and showed up with the deed, the mortgage paperwork, and all the texts printed out and stapled together. When the officer asked what was going on, I handed him the folder. He read it. Didn't say much. Then turned to Rena and said, "Ma'am, you'll need to work this out in court." She left without another word. Greg didn't even look at me. A week later, I got a call from Chase. They flagged some charges on the joint credit card we hadn't used in a year. Turns out Rena had taken it from the drawer in the office before she left. $1,800 spent in 4 days. Hair salon. Fancy dinners. Hotel stays. New luggage. She'd booked a weekend in Cape May. I froze the card and filed a fraud claim. The rep asked if I wanted to press charges. I didn't answer right away. I just said, "Not yet." Instead, I called my buddy Dave. He's a quiet guy but smart. He works IT for a law firm in Bethlehem. Told him everything. He said, "You need a lawyer. Now." So I hired one. Turns out, because her name was on the deed, Rena thought she could bully me into selling the house and splitting the profits. But her name wasn't on the mortgage. She hadn't paid a single month of it. And we weren't married. Common law doesn't apply in Pennsylvania. My lawyer found out she'd signed a quitclaim waiver, when we finalized the loan. She probably didn't even remember signing it, just another piece of paper in a stack that day. That meant she had no legal ownership, just occupancy rights, which ended when she moved out. She had no claim to the house. My lawyer sent her a formal notice to remove all personal belongings within 10 days or forfeit them. She sent her sister to pick up what was left. I didn't say a word. Just opened the garage, let them take her boxes, and closed it again. One night, 2 months later, I was sitting at the bar at Copperhead Grill, trying to enjoy a cold beer and some wings. A woman sat down a few stools away. She looked familiar, but I couldn't place her. She looked over and said, "You're Rena's ex, right?" I nodded slowly.
Yeah.
"Who are you?" She said her name was Trish, Greg's ex-wife. She said, "You're not the first guy Rena's done this to." Turns out Greg had a pattern. So did Rena. They'd been sneaking around behind Trish's back before their own divorce, too. When Trish confronted Rena about it at school one day, Rena laughed in her face and called her boring. But here's the kicker, Greg wasn't even that into Rena. Trish told me Greg had already started seeing another woman. Someone younger. Rena was just a fling that got too messy. That hit me like a damn truck. All that pain, all that betrayal. And she wasn't even his first choice. After that night at the bar with Trish, my whole view of the past year changed. I wasn't just lied to, I was used and then discarded like I never mattered. Rena didn't just fall out of love. She was chasing drama, playing house until something better came along, and when it didn't, she tried to manipulate her way back in. But now I knew the full truth. Greg wasn't her future. He was never planning on being that. And she didn't even see it coming. I thought that would give me peace. It didn't. It was late September. The leaves were just starting to turn. I was fixing a leaky pipe under the kitchen sink when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Normally I ignore those, but something told me to answer. It was Rena. "I just want to talk," she said. Her voice was soft, almost broken. I didn't respond. She kept going. "I know I messed up. I wasn't thinking straight. Everything was moving too fast. I thought Greg was different." I cut her off. "You used me." She didn't deny it, just started crying. "I don't have anywhere to go," she said. "Can we just talk? Face to face?" I should have said no, but I said yes. I told her to meet me at the Dunkin' on Hamilton Street the next day at noon. She showed up wearing the same tan jacket she always wore in the fall. Her hair was messy. No makeup. She looked tired. I sat across from her, sipping coffee. She reached for my hand. I didn't let her. She started in with the excuses again. That she felt lost. That she thought I didn't love her anymore. That she was scared of settling. That Greg made her feel seen. I let her talk for 10 minutes straight. Then I slid a small manila envelope across the table. Inside were two things: a copy of the credit card fraud report I filed with Chase, a printed screenshot of a message from Greg to his new girlfriend, a 32-year-old teacher's aide named Morgan. He'd written, "Rena's crazy.
It was just a rebound thing."
I'm glad that's done." She read it, then stared at me, silent. I said, "You didn't just cheat on me. You gambled everything for someone who didn't even want you." Then I stood up, walked out, left her sitting there with nothing. 2 weeks later, I got a letter. She was suing me. She claimed I'd coerced her into signing away her rights to the house. Said I'd manipulated her financially. She wanted compensation. She wanted damages for emotional distress. She wanted blood. I gave the letter to my lawyer, who almost laughed. "She has no case," he said, "but we'll respond anyway." So we did. And that's when I decided I was done playing defense. Remember the folder I made? With all the texts and pictures? I added more to it. Trish, the ex-wife, gave me access to a few recordings from when Greg and Rena were still sneaking around. Greg had left a phone recording in his gym locker one day, trying to catch another coach bad-mouthing him. Instead, he caught a full conversation between him and Rena about how she was going to bleed me dry, wait until the house closed, and then find a way to push me out without losing face. She laughed about it, called me her golden ticket. I had it all. My lawyer said, "You want to go nuclear?" I said, "Do it." We filed a countersuit.
Fraud.
Intentional emotional distress. Unauthorized credit card use. Attempted theft of property. And we had proof for every single thing. Word got out at the school. Not from me, I never talked to anyone there. But someone on the legal team subpoenaed Rena's work emails. A couple of them showed she'd sent photos of Greg to her personal phone during school hours. Another showed she'd been using her district-issued laptop to schedule hotel stays during work. Someone higher up didn't like that. She was asked to resign quietly or face an internal review. She resigned. And just like that, the career she'd spent over a decade building?
Gone.
Apparently, he'd been texting another female coworker inappropriate messages. Trish passed them on to the district HR department. He was put on leave pending investigation. Then he quit. Last I heard, he was working part-time at a gym in Quakertown and living in a studio apartment over a garage. They weren't together anymore. He blocked her. After Greg ghosted her and the school let her go, Rena fell off the radar. For a few weeks, I didn't hear a thing. I figured she was laying low. I didn't care where she was, but my lawyer said not to let my guard down. People who lose everything don't always act right. Then came the email. She sent it to my personal address. Subject line just said, "Please." It was long, rambling. She said she was staying with her cousin in Jersey. Couldn't find work. She'd applied everywhere, schools, daycares, even retail. No one was hiring her. She said her license might get suspended because of an open investigation tied to her resignation. She blamed Greg, said he misled her, claimed she'd lost everything because of him. But the last part of the email? That's what stuck with me. She said, "I miss feeling safe. You were my calm.
You always took care of me.
I wish I hadn't thrown that away."
No equality. No ownership.
She missed the benefits.
Not me.
The court date came. It was a gray morning in December. Windy.
Ugly.
She walked in wearing a cheap suit, hair tied back, no makeup. Looked nothing like the woman I used to know. Her lawyer was some discount guy from a billboard on Route 309. Probably all she could afford. My lawyer laid out everything. The credit card fraud, the quitclaim deed she signed, the proof of her affair, the audio recording from Greg, evidence of her planning to stay until the mortgage closed, then leave. Rena didn't say much. Just sat there staring down at the table. When it was over, the judge ruled in my favor on every point. She was ordered to pay restitution for the credit card charges, $1, $800 plus interest. She was denied any claim to the house. The fraud suit didn't lead to jail time, but it went on her record. She also had to pay partial legal fees, $4, $200. She asked the judge if she could do a payment plan. He said yes, $250 a month, minimum. For over 2 years. I didn't say a word in court. Just looked at her one time as I walked out. She looked at me, almost expecting mercy. She didn't get any. A week after the court date, I dropped off one last envelope at her cousin's address. No return name. Just her first name, handwritten. Inside was a copy of her old message to Greg. "He's stable. That's all. I can do better." And below that I had written, "Stability doesn't beg you back. It buries you and keeps moving." Greg bounced around a few gyms. Ended up in Philly doing private fitness coaching. One of my coworkers hired him without knowing. Said he was odd and gave off creepy energy. Fired him after 2 weeks. Rena tried applying for jobs in nearby states. Word travels in education. Her license is still under review. Last I heard, she was managing a discount clothing store in Newark. Living with a friend. No car. No benefits. Still sending out resumes. And me? I sold the house. Took the profit, paid off my truck, and moved into a smaller home out near Emmaus. Quiet street. No drama. Just peace. I don't date much. Not ready yet. But I sleep better. And every now and then, when I see a photo of us pop up on social media memories, I don't feel anger. I feel thankful.
Because she thought she was smarter than me.
Thought I was just a stepping stone. But she forgot something important. You don't get to lie, cheat, and steal, and walk away clean. Some of us don't fight back with yelling. Some of us wait.
Watch.
And end it all with silence. One locked door. One photo. And a damn good lawyer.